Chapter 1: The Ordinary Life. Ethan had always been a creature of habit. Every morning, he would wake up at exactly 7 a.m., shower, dress in a neatly pressed suit, and leave his apartment in the heart of the bustling city. The streets were always crowded with people rushing to their jobs, just like Ethan. The city's rhythm was like clockwork, much like his own life. Ethan was an accountant at a large firm, and his days were filled with numbers, spreadsheets, and meetings. He was good at his job, perhaps too good. His colleagues admired his precision and his ability to catch even the smallest mistake. But there was something missing, a sense of fulfillment that Ethan couldn't quite put his finger on. One day, as he was getting ready to leave for work, Ethan noticed something strange. His wristwatch, an old family heirloom passed down from his grandfather, had stopped. It was unusual because the watch had never needed repairs before. It had always worked perfectly, keeping time with unwavering accuracy. Ethan tapped the glass face of the watch, hoping it was just a temporary glitch, but the hands remained frozen at 8:15 a.m. He sighed, realizing he would need to get it fixed. Time was slipping away, and he was already running late. Chapter 2: The Detour. As Ethan hurried down the street, something felt different. The usual rush of the city seemed muted, as if the world had slowed down. People walked past him, but their movements were sluggish, almost dreamlike. Ethan shook his head, thinking it was just his imagination playing tricks on him. When he reached the train station, the platform was unusually empty. The digital clock on the wall read 8:15 a.m., the same time as his stopped watch. A chill ran down his spine. He checked his phone, but it, too, showed the same time. Panic started to creep in, but Ethan forced himself to stay calm. He decided to take a different route to work, one that passed through a part of the city he rarely visited. As he walked, the streets became less familiar. The tall buildings of the city center gave way to smaller, older structures, and the noise of traffic faded into the background. Ethan found himself in a quiet, almost deserted neighborhood. The air felt heavy, and the light was dim, as though the sun had decided not to fully rise. He looked around, searching for any sign of life, but there was none. It was as if time had truly stopped in this place. Chapter 3: The Village. As Ethan continued walking, he noticed a small, winding path leading away from the city. Something about it called to him, an inexplicable pull that he couldn't resist. He hesitated for a moment, knowing he was already late for work, but curiosity got the better of him. The path led to a dense forest, the trees tall and ancient, their branches intertwined like a web. The further Ethan walked, the darker it became, until the only light was the faint glow of his stopped watch. Despite the eerie atmosphere, he felt strangely at peace, as if he was meant to be there. After what felt like hours, Ethan emerged from the forest and found himself standing at the edge of a small, picturesque village. The houses were old-fashioned, with thatched roofs and wooden walls, and the streets were cobblestone. It was like stepping back in time, to a place untouched by the modern world. The villagers, dressed in simple, old-fashioned clothing, went about their daily lives, seemingly unaware of Ethan's presence. He watched them for a while, trying to make sense of what he was seeing. This village, this place, felt like a forgotten piece of history, a remnant of a time long past. Ethan approached an elderly man sitting on a bench, hoping to get some answers. Chapter 4: The Watchmaker. The old man looked up at Ethan with kind, knowing eyes. His face was lined with wrinkles, each one telling a story of a long life lived. "Welcome," the man said in a gentle voice, "you must be lost." Ethan nodded, unsure of what to say. I don't know where I am," he admitted, feeling a strange sense of vulnerability. The old man smiled. "This is a place where time stands still," he explained. "People like you, who lose their way, sometimes find themselves here. It's a place to reflect, to understand the value of time." Ethan felt a shiver run down his spine. "But why me? And how do I get back?" The old man pointed to a small workshop at the end of the street. "The watchmaker can help you. He has a way of fixing things that are broken, including time." Intrigued and a little apprehensive, Ethan made his way to the workshop. The door creaked as he pushed it open, and inside, the air was thick with the scent of oil and metal. The walls were lined with clocks of all shapes and sizes, each one ticking in perfect harmony. Behind a cluttered workbench sat the watchmaker, a middle-aged man with sharp features and keen eyes. He was meticulously working on a pocket watch, his hands moving with practiced precision. The watchmaker looked up as Ethan entered. "Ah, I've been expecting you," he said, his voice smooth and calm. "Your watch, it's stopped, hasn't it?" Ethan nodded and handed over the heirloom. The watchmaker examined it closely, his brow furrowing in concentration. "This is no ordinary watch," he murmured. "It's connected to you, to your life's journey. When it stops, it means you've lost your way." Chapter 5: The Choice. Ethan listened intently as the watchmaker continued. "This village, this place, exists outside of time. It's a sanctuary for those who have lost their path, a place to reflect and find what truly matters. But how do I get back?" Ethan asked, his voice tinged with desperation. The watchmaker looked up from the watch and met Ethan's gaze. "That depends on you," he said. "To fix the watch, you must first understand why it stopped. What have you lost, Ethan? What is it that you truly seek?" Ethan was silent, his mind racing. He thought about his life, his job, the routines that had become so mundane. He thought about the dreams he had as a child, the ambitions he had let slip away. He realized that somewhere along the way, he had lost his sense of purpose, his passion for life. The watchmaker seemed to read his thoughts. "Time is precious," he said softly. "Every moment, every second, is a gift. But when we lose sight of what truly matters, time stops, and we become lost." Ethan nodded, understanding for the first time the true meaning of his journey. He looked at the watchmaker with renewed determination. "I want to find my way back," he said firmly. "I want to live a life that has meaning." The watchmaker smiled and handed the watch back to Ethan. "Then your journey begins here," he said. "The watch will guide you, but you must make the choices that will lead you to where you truly belong." Chapter 6: The Journey Home. With the watch in hand, Ethan left the workshop and began to explore the village. He met the villagers, listened to their stories, and learned about their lives. Each person he encountered had a unique tale, a lesson about the value of time and the importance of living with purpose. Ethan felt a deep connection to these people, as if they were reflections of different parts of himself. He realized that the village was more than just a place, it was a manifestation of his inner world, a place where he could confront his fears, his regrets, and his lost dreams. As the days passed, Ethan felt a change within himself. He started to appreciate the simple moments, the beauty of the world around him, and the importance of human connection. He no longer felt the pressure of time, the constant need to rush from one task to the next. Instead, he embraced each moment, fully present and aware. One evening, as Ethan was sitting by a small, tranquil lake on the outskirts of the village, he noticed something remarkable. The hands of his watch had started moving again, slowly at first, then picking up speed until they were ticking in perfect rhythm. Ethan smiled, feeling a sense of peace and fulfillment he hadn't experienced in years. He knew it was time to return home, to the life he had left behind. But he also knew that he would never be the same. He had found something far more valuable than time itself. He had found himself. Chapter 7: The Return. Ethan woke up in his apartment, the familiar sounds of the city outside his window. For a moment, he wondered if it had all been a dream, but when he looked at his watch, he knew it was real. The watch was ticking steadily, and the time read 7 a.m., the start of a new day. Ethan got ready as he always did, but this time, he felt different. The weight of his routine no longer burdened him. He felt light, free.